Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hi, I'm Aditya Vora. Hope you guys are doing well. Let me put an investing scenario in front of you. Let us assume you are given a choice between two companies, Maruti Suzuki and Tata Motors, both in the auto sector. Maruti Suzuki is a tried and tested, a reliable company with a traditional management, but is going through a rough patch. Tata Motors, on the other hand, has struggled to get its product portfolio right over several years, but seems like it has recently got the magic formula right. Again, it's initial days. Which company would you choose and why? The choice here is between a proven track record and perceived potential. I am sure the answers must be a mixed bag. Some of you would go for the tried and tested, while some people would go for a weak pass but possibility of a strong potential. Before I help you to make a choice between the two, let me talk a bit about the auto sector, a sector which has been down in the dumps over the past 3 to 4 years, marred by all possible negative issues. Everything right from the cost of ownership to the rising raw material cost have dragged the sector down. To add to it, the recent semiconductor issue has hit the supply side of the business too. In my career, I have not come across a situation where in an industry both the demand and the supply side simultaneously have an issue. This explains the gravity of the situation. However, every adversity is an opportunity in introspection. The best time to buy stocks in a sector is when the sector is down. Before I give my views on which company I like better, let me run you through certain characteristics and a brief history of both these companies to make a better choice. Let's start with the market leader Maruti Suzuki. From a single vehicle model back in the 1990s to garnering a peak market share of 52% in 2017, Maruti Suzuki has come a long way. The success of any company is primarily judged by the market share it commands. For Maruti Suzuki, let me go a step further. When sales volumes were at its peak in 2017, not only did it enjoy a 52% market share, but its nearest competitor Hyundai had almost one-third, that is a 17% market share. Now that is what I call dominance. Stock price back then almost touched an all-time high of the magical 5-digit number of 10,000. So what led to a stock price CAGR of 63% in 4 years from 2013 to 2017? To understand this, let's go back to the most crucial period in Maruti's history, the 2013 to 2017 period. It was a complete revamp in strategy that put Maruti Suzuki at the podium. Maruti Suzuki over the years was known as an affordable car maker. In fact, the Indian automobile industry had more than 80% of volumes coming from the small car segment. As I spoke earlier, Maruti Suzuki's strengths were A. Making affordable, mass market and fuel efficient cars. B. Economical after-sale services and spare parts availability. C. Having an unparalleled dealership network. I believe the start of the last decade was an inflection point for the Indian automobile industry in many ways, both from the supply as well as the demand point of view. Back then, India was a market for small cars and hatchbacks. It was in 2013 that Ford and Renault introduced a totally new concept by the name of compact SUV, a 5-seater SUV that led to the market for these cars exploding. Also, the share of luxury vehicles started rising as new models were launched. Now, there were two problems with Maruti's product portfolio back in 2012-2013. A. It had no product to cater to the premium market, as Maruti meant mass market cars, while the trend was shifting towards luxury, especially luxury sedans. And B. Also, it was absent in the new subcategory, the compact UV segment, which were the 5-seater SUVs. Now imagine marginal players like Ford and Renault were first movers which introduced a new segment. The Duster and EcoSport were runaway successes. So what did Maruti do to address the problem? To enter the luxury segment and shed the tag of a middle-class car maker, Maruti came across a brilliant strategy which gave birth to a premium distribution channel, the Nexa, which housed luxury cars. After all, the customer buying a rupees 1 million vehicle would want extra detailing and feel of the showroom. Nexa showrooms were instrumental in changing the mass market mentality associated with Maruti. Now that the mass market image was addressed, Maruti had to fill gaps in its product portfolio, both in the small car segment and the luxury segment. Back then, it did not have a premium small vehicle, a luxury sedan, a vehicle in the rupees 7 to 8 lakh category, a product in the newly created compact SUV segment. It addressed all of the above by launching the Baleno in the premium small vehicle segment, Ciaz in the luxury sedan segment to compete with market leader Honda City, Brezza and S-Cross in the compact SUV segment, and refresh of the existing vehicle, which is the Dzire. A few people know this, that during 2013, Maruti Suzuki's Dzire was being used as a tourist vehicle and a hit among cab aggregators like Ola and Uber. While sales were strong from the fleet operators, the retail customers didn't want to purchase a vehicle which was also used as a tourist taxi. Maruti quickly realized this and discontinued sales to the retail category. The old Dzire was sold under the name of Dzire Tour to commercial players and cab aggregators. In the next 1.5 years, it launched a refreshed version of the Dzire, which fell in the sub 4 meter category, attracting lower GST and consequently lowering price only for the retail segment. By the end of 2017, with the automobile upcycle at its peak, Maruti Suzuki, with its complete change in strategy, had outperformed the industry. The share of premium segment in Maruti's portfolio increased from 3% in FY15 to 23% in FY17. As a result, the market share in luxury sedan segment doubled from 15% in FY15 to 30% in FY17. That is how India's mass market car maker Maruti cleverly capitalized and changed the trend and premiumization in India. It was no longer perceived as a mass market car maker. The result was sales rocketed, profits surged and market share was at an all-time high. However, the question to be asked today is, what has gone wrong over the past 3 years? What has led to Maruti, which was cruising at high speeds, suddenly hit speed bump? I think Maruti certainly could not keep pace with the competition in the compact SUV space. The product fatigue in Vitara Brezza has clearly set in. No refreshed version was launched for a long time. Secondly, the premium S-Cross did not find the longevity it was expected to. Sales fizzled out after a couple of years. All of this happened at a time when the share of SUV segment has been rising. Another blow which Maruti faced was the category of sedan, which was dominated by Honda and Ciaz, started shrinking. In their stronghold, the mini segment, their new launch Ignis too failed, adding to its problems. Now, I do agree that the domestic automobile industry has been hit hard over the past 2 to 3 years because of the cost increase and lower demand. Suzuki has been hit the most in the absence of new launches. All the above has led to massive underperformance from India's largest passenger vehicle company. So in a nutshell, the golden period for Maruti Suzuki from 2013 to 2017 turned into a nightmare over the past 3 years. So that was Maruti. Now let's talk about the second company in contention, Tata Motors. While Maruti primarily has 90% of revenues coming from the domestic market, Tata Motors is a global story. Tata Motors acquired Jaguar Land Rover from Ford in 2008. Currently, it accounts for approximately 80% of total revenues of Tata Motors, while the commercial and the passenger vehicle business accounts for the remaining 20%. So, as an investor, when you evaluate Tata Motors, more emphasis should be given on Jaguar Land Rover numbers. While the turnaround in the passenger vehicle segment is a welcome news for Tata Motors, but in terms of the consolidated picture, till the time JLR does not outperform, the stock of Tata Motors will not outperform. The prospects of JLR are based on the global luxury car market. Besides, China accounts for 30 to 35% of the total JLR sales. The reason China is important is because realizations and margins are relatively higher in China. Also, currency movements in pound, dollar, Chinese yuan and euro are important as JLR sells its cars across the globe in different currencies. Also, the EV angle in JLR is far more important as EV adoption globally is happening at a rapid pace with very high competitive intensity. All of the above makes JLR a complex division to analyze. So now let's talk about the domestic business of Tata Motors, which is the passenger and the commercial vehicles. If we analyze the passenger vehicle business of Tata Motors, the company over the past 3 years has done all the things right. This is obviously evident from the fact that the market share of Tata Motors in the passenger vehicle segment has gone up from 6% in FY18 to 10.5% in 2021. While Tata Motors was predominantly present in most of the segments, their cars lacked design and the wow factor. Majority of their vehicles were used as tourist cars, right from the iconic Tata Sumo to Tata Indigo and Indica in the sedan segment. However, new launches like Tata Zest and Bolt too failed. However, over the past 3 years, Tata Motors has launched 7 new vehicles in various segments. This has led to 70% growth in the passenger car segment when industry is declining. I am sure you must be aware of the waiting period when you go to purchase a Tata vehicle. From a financial perspective, the passenger vehicle division was viewed as a cash guzzler division of the company which burned cash which was earned from the commercial vehicle segment. This affected the consolidated India business. However, the passenger vehicle business is on its path to recover and is expected to post profits in FY23. Now, let's talk about the commercial vehicle business. Tata Motors, through its aggressive stance, is getting back to the market share it lost to players like Ashok Leyland and Eicher Motors. The fortunes of the CV segment to a large extent is dependent on the economy. Tata Motors is the market leader in the CV segment in India. So guys, this was the story so far for Maruti and Tata Motors, a tale of two companies, both addressing the limitations and both catching the eye of the investors. However, this analysis is still date. Now that you have got a brief about the strengths, the weaknesses, the market positioning of both these companies, it will be relatively easier to evaluate the assumptions about the future and take a call on either of these companies. In my next video, I shall discuss about what I think the future holds for both Tata Motors and Maruti in terms of their readiness to adapt the electric vehicle revolution. After all, electric vehicles are the hottest topic in town these days. I will also give my views on which company out of the two looks more attractive from a valuation and a risk-reward perspective. Thank you and do watch the second part of this video next week.